What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about Foremost Clean Energy, tickers FMST. I want to go over what this company is all about and why you need to add them to your watch list. I want to go over all the things you need to know, but first make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, market cap, give or take, is about 39.5 million. But one thing I want to start off by going over is how hot this stock truly is. So over the last 6 months, it is up 310.13%. And in case you aren't familiar with junior miners, they tend to explode. So of course, this stock is very much all about uranium. And essentially, from what we can see from just the price of uranium, it has gone up from about $64 to $76 in a span of about 5 months. That is magnified tenfold with junior stocks. So of course, this is why in that same time period, you've seen it go up 310%. And there was a recent interview with the CEO, Jason, and it was done through Redchip. And so ultimately, Jason goes over a lot of hot topics and why Foremost stands out, but he does believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg and that potentially uranium is going to just skyrocket. And so even if we zoom out over the last 5 years, hypothetically, if it goes to, let's say, 2024 levels, you can only imagine what that will do to the stock price. But going back over to this interview, there's quite a few things that he does really state is beneficial and why you need to really invest in Foremost. So he brings up the Trump administration and how potentially Trump has earmarked about $2.7 billion to fast track nuclear reactors. And so I think Trump has really acknowledged that there is some leg in just the overall economy. And one thing that Trump, in case you guys haven't really kept up to date with what he's really focusing on, he loves AI. He knows it's the next big thing. I'm not sure if you guys have actually caught on to that, but as it stands, there isn't sufficient infrastructure to meet those demands. So this is where potentially Trump has really, like I said, earmarked about that $2.7 billion just to kind of get to the very bare minimum. So that is most likely going to magnify as years pass. And I do believe Jason, during that interview, does bring up roughly around just the amount of power needed is going to quadruple by 2050. So I think if, again, you are investing in, for instance, Foremost or just uranium, this is where you'll make like massive amounts of money. Jason also does bring up where they're based out of. It is kind of known as the Saudi Arabia of uranium. So I think that is very advantageous. They do have a strategic partner as well with Denison Mines. So currently it's roughly, they own about 16% and of Foremost. And so they are a very good strategic partner because it brings financial strength, technical expertise, as well as development pathways. So making it kind of easy for Foremost. And this is kind of the current market cap, so 2.09 billion. This was the latest news that did come out from Foremost. That was on September the 3rd. So Foremost Clean Energy to issue shares to Denison Mines Corp under investor rights agreement and strengthening its treasury by over $1 million. And so given the circumstances, Foremost has very good strategic partners and they're in the right sector because I think it's only going to grow more and more, thus really propelling just Foremost to extreme highs. Like I said, just even at the peak when it went to, I think, roughly around $5.74, as what's showing right here, that is basically the small amount of just the price movement and action. So during that same period, it went to 76.20 and, or sorry, right over here, about $80, $79, $80. So again, potentially just uranium itself is going to really move higher. One thing I've really noticed is a lot of junior miners get heavily shorted straight out the gate. That's not really the case with Foremost. So for those of you that like following my channel, I always like to go over what shorts do and whatever else. 0.89% of the free float is being shorted. So essentially, you don't see shorts wanting to do anything with this stock. And in my opinion, that kind of speaks volumes. So at the end of the day, that's definitely something to take note of. 84.48 thousand shares overall are being shorted. So shorts, again, see a lot of upside. On a side note, this stock does not have any options whatsoever. One thing I do want to bring up though is support and resistance points. So for instance, if you're wanting to kind of buy at the next support point or just be aware of the next kind of target, with it right now at 324, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 294 and then 254 is going to be support levels, 334, 359, and then 399 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. Quickly moving over here, just to give you a good representation. So the last mark, so on Friday, September the 5th, you see some kind of walls of selling. But if it is able to easily get over 360, which it kind of bounced off of on Friday, this is where you could see exponential growth, similar to what happened for the most part in June. So at the end of the day, stock very hot, very popular. It's not getting crazy amounts of volume, but it doesn't really take that much for it to really move higher. So potentially, if you get some news from the Trump administration in regards to, let's say, uranium, nuclear, this stock will just fly like crazy. So definitely worthwhile to add it to your watch list, in my opinion. And even based on the technicals itself, it is above all the key ones that generally I like to look at. So the 10-day moving average is usually seen as more of a momentum kind of boost. And yeah, over the last couple trading days, it's successfully stayed above that, already above all the other moving averages that generally I like to look at, which is the 50, 100, and 200. Given just the price action recently, you have stochastic RSI somewhat high, so 71, 70-ish. And so that does mean the first sign of weakness, whether it be foremost related or potentially from a macro standpoint, you could see still some consolidation. But no matter what, as what Jason even mentioned in that interview, if you're wanting to invest in, let's say, directly in foremost, it can be seen as either a pure uranium play or just like magnified based on the multiple as well, which will come with time. But definitely foremost should be added to your watch list, in my opinion. So let me know your thoughts on this stock. Have you kind of looked at it in the past or not? What's your viewpoint on this? One final thing, if you are looking for some solid buy signals, pop over to my Patreon to get buy signals on stocks, options, crypto. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.